This time I want to talk a little bit about the wide range of skill in Hema, and this also applies to other martial arts as well as many other disciplines as well. If you don't practice a particular skill, it's very easy to underestimate how much practice it takes. If you see somebody who is very competent, you don't see all the thousands of hours of practice behind that, of course. As you get better, you realize more and more how much more there is. And the same with knowledge. The more you know, the more you realize how much more you don't know, right? In an attempt to give you a little bit more insight, I'll talk about my personal experience so far. I've come a long way over the years. I don't consider myself to be a beginner anymore, which I did for a long time. At this point, I suppose I'm in the intermediate range, and I've still got a lot left to learn. Here's some old cringy footage from around 2011, so about 6 years old by now. I had really no clue what I was doing. I had a very rough, basic, rudimentary idea of sword fighting. I was trying to figure things out by doing, and I was practicing with equally clueless friends. And Ben, if you happen to watch this, no offense, bro, I don't mean to rip you or anything, but we were all hilariously clumsy, and I'm sure you agree with that. Moving on to the time period between 2013 and 2015, I was now looking at the manuals and videos and trying to figure things out. We were still practicing on our own without an instructor, so it was a very limited learning experience. Particularly things like footwork and posture were very off. I mean, to somebody who hasn't practiced Hema at a professional school, this might not look too bad, but it was really amateurish. And again, no offense to any of the people involved. This was recorded in summer 2016, so well over a year after I tore my ACL in sparring, and about half a year after I was hit by a car and got my shoulder ligament torn and rib broken. At that point I was still recovering, and it was before I lost a lot of weight. However, you can see the posture and footwork are better, still pretty flawed, but noticeably better than in the earlier footage. And now we get to the recent 2017 footage. You can tell way smoother movements. I'm actually rising up to guard after a cut, and this is a pretty interesting exchange. As said, there is still much more room for improvement, and the chronic knee injury has really been hampering my footwork. It's a lot more static than I'd like. Working on it. Chris is still kicking my ass because he's really good. He started at a fairly young age, and he is a good learner. He's very capable. He's also really fast, as you can see here. So I'm showing you all this not just so you can see someone's personal learning experience, but also so you get a frame of reference. You can probably tell by now that I'm pretty okay these days. I mean, there's nothing to boast with, at least in my humble opinion, but, I can handle myself. I've come a long way. However, here is a most recent sparring match against Lee Smith, the co-founder of Blood and Iron. You can see how smooth his movements are, and especially how fast he is. You'll see here. At this point, he's really holding back. That exchange was kind of unnecessary. I do not know why I threw the cut out of measure. And here, boom. Very quick. I basically just had enough time to realize, oh, I'm screwed. Right the moment I realized I wouldn't get the guard up in time. By the time my brain processed what was going on, the hit already connected. Here with Polish Sabers, these ones are really weird. They're extremely strongly curved. There was trying to snipe his arm, but he caught it immediately. So this is one of my personal issues. I'm too defensive. Against Lee, I know that he is very good at countering, so I just feel that if I move in to strike, he's just going to parry and counter immediately and hit me. But of course his offense is also very solid, if not better, so me just hanging out there without threatening him is not a good idea. This one here barely missed. It only touched my jacket. These things are quite short due to the curvature. He acknowledged the hit here, but it wasn't really enough. It was too superficial. But I touched at all, which is worth something against Lee. This was interesting. We decided to attack at the exact same time. He stabbed my side and I cut to his arm. Only just about caught this one. Again, trying to cut his arm, but that was poorly aimed. And again, too defensive. Just waiting there to get hit, essentially. And that's exactly what happened. Sometimes people ask, why do they just clash swords? So it can be a bad thing to strike out of measure, meaning at a distance where you can't hit the opponent. But it is a way to feel out the opponent, because that way you make contact, and that blade contact gives you a lot of information about the intent of your opponent. But you're doing it at a distance where you don't endanger yourself. This was kind of weird. I dodged his strike and then just kind of whipped the point of my saber in his face, so it would have given him a nice scar in real combat, but nothing serious. I tried to evade that one, but failed. Here's another one of his quick signature lunges. Another exchange out of measure. I do that too much. Again, it has its place, but a lot of the time it doesn't actually make sense. Lee called this one off. I don't know why it seemed solid. Close. I only just got away in time. That was a nice maneuver. Strikes my saber out of the way, brings my arm into position, and there's the cut. This is also something I need to work on. More follow-up cuts. Not just throwing a single attack and then retreating. You need to actually keep going. Press the offense. So yeah, the skill gap in Hema is immense, and it's only going to get even wider over time as the current elite fighters practice more and more and get even better. Hope you liked the video, and thanks for watching.